Hey everybody, it's Saturday afternoon and I'm finally getting around to cleaning out the medication from my native tank. I recently had a bout of freshwater velvet. I brought it home from catching some minnows down the stream and then just introducing them directly into the tank without quarantining them. So I had to treat the tank for about a week, and I'm confident now that all of the infected fish are back to normal and healthy. There are a few of the minnows that still look a little rough and beat up. Some of them are missing some scales, but I think they're all healthy enough that we can go ahead and get the medication out of the tank now. So that is going to involve a few things. One is going to be a very large water change. I'm probably going to do at least a 50%, and then I'm also going to change out the filter today. It's long overdue for needing a filter change anyway. And then in addition to the filter change, we're going to put some carbon in the filter. I've got boxes and boxes and boxes of activated carbon because every time you buy a filter or you buy filter material, you wind up getting activated carbon with it. And I rarely use it. I only use it when I need it. And right now, I need it. We're going to be trying to get some medication out of the tank, and that's exactly what the activated carbon is used for. It's removing chemicals from the tank. So we're going to get started on that, and I guess this will be a before and after, but we'll probably do a little bit of video along the way. And I'm beginning to get a little concerned about that shiner right there. I don't think that one is going to be with us for very much longer. I know when I got them, I got 6, but they gave me 7. One of them was really beat up looking, and I believe that one's already died because I did have one dead shiner in there. And then the other one, the reason they gave me 7 instead of 6 was one of them was so tiny and just there was almost nothing to it. And so I guess he figured it wasn't even worth the hassle of getting it out of the bucket rather than just giving me 7 instead of 6. It's not that this store is particularly generous. They just probably didn't feel like pulling that almost dead one out anyway. They just left it in my bucket instead. So that one's probably not long for this tank. But otherwise, everybody's looking reasonably okay. We do have a few minnows, like I said, that are missing some scales. You can see some really rough spots where it looks all white and washed out. I don't think that is infection. I don't think that's like a fungus infection or bacterial infection. I really do think it's just abrasion. I think the scales have been rubbed off the bodies right there. I've been keeping a close eye on it. It doesn't look like it's spreading, and it doesn't actually look like it's raised or fuzzy or anything like that. It looks like raw skin. So I really do think it is just that. It's just raw skin from being kept in a minnow trap for several days before I was able to get down there and get them out and brought here back to the tank. So that should probably heal up as time goes on. Whether the scales will grow back or not, I don't know. It'll depend on how much damage was done to the skin. Much the way your hair follicles or a nail bed might get damaged, your fingernail or your hair might not grow back. If the skin is damaged too severely, a fish scale is going to be the same way. The scales won't grow back if the skin that produces those scales gets too badly damaged. So we'll have to wait and see how the recovery goes with them. It might be scar tissue rather than scales. So anyway, let me get on with it. And as I said, we're going to probably just do a before and after, but we'll get a little bit of a look at the filter in the meantime. So we'll step back again and get a look at the whole tank. Not going to change much. It's just going to remove a lot of that green color. So there you go. There's your before. Alright, now admittedly the after does not look very much different than the before, but trust me, we did a lot of work while we were in there, namely the filter. I didn't bother to shoot any video of it for a couple of reasons, but I'll get into that in just a moment. With the water change, I just did about, I don't know, maybe a 50 to 60%. Drained about half the tank, more or less. Now keep in mind, the lower portion of the tank has a lot of displacement with all those rocks and gravel and substrate and so on and so forth. If you look down at this end of the tank, I've got lots and lots of stuff in here. So when the water level is down to about the halfway point, you've probably removed well over half of the water that's being held in the tank. So call it a 60% water change, and yet everything still looks pretty green. A lot of that has to do with just how sort of overgrown everything is with the algae. Now that the Chinese algae eater is no longer alive in this tank, you can really see the difference. I might have to find myself some other source of algae control to get in this tank. Maybe some more plecos or something that are a little more algae eating than the one I've got in here, because the one I've got in here does not seem to be doing a very good job of keeping on top of that. But at any rate, we did a great big water change, and then I got to the filter, and the filter was just absolutely foul. In all the years I've been keeping fish, I've never had a filter that disgusting. So I have no idea how long it's been since I've changed it before, but it looked like it had been months and months and months, even though I really don't think it's been that long. I don't know why the filter was so gross, but it was nasty. So bad, in fact, that I took it outside in 35-degree weather and used the garden hose to hose out all of the gunk and mulm and crud and everything that was in there. I'm telling you, I'm surprised water was flowing through it. It was so nasty. So I did all that, and then I was going to shoot a video showing putting the carbon in the filter, because I was going to sort of wrap it up into like a little homemade pouch that I was going to make out of the filter material. But when I went to my big stack of boxes of carbon, I have packs that are already in the mesh bags with a zipper on it. So all I did was lay it in one of the trays and then put the filter back together. So there really wasn't anything worth shooting any video about. I just put a pouch of carbon in the top tray. I did put a full pound in there. I don't know whether or not that's going to get all the green color out or it'll take all the medicine out, but I will be doing another water change within the next few days. Just to do a couple of back-to-back water changes, because remember, I also put a lot of salt in this tank, and if I want to get that out, it's going to take a series of water changes, and every time I do another water change, there'll be less and less salt in the tank. So, not that I really need to get the salt out of there, but I don't normally keep the tank salted, so, that'll just come out over time. I'm not going to add salt back to it as I do water changes. So other than that, all I did was trim down some of the plants. I did have, well, I still do, the rhizomes down in there, and it was the anubias that was sticking up. All of the stuff that was previously submerged, and then I just sort of stuck up out of the water, that didn't survive. That didn't do too well, so I trimmed all that off, and the rhizome is still down in there, and hopefully we'll get to see some more. You can see right there's one of the leaves from the rhizome, which is down here. So hopefully we'll get to see some more sticking up and kind of covering that, blocking that out of the way. We're also getting some good new growth from the water sprite right there. That's actually starting to grow emergent, and I'm hoping that will root in. That actually, root mass is tucked into a hole in this big piece of wood, so that's sort of secured down in there, and it's just going to have to grow around all that flowing water. So whatever it's going to do, it's going to do so, being adapted to that water like that, so it'll grow up and through it and won't get knocked all over the place until it gets huge. So that should be interesting to watch all of that grow out. My Creeping Jenny here is still doing okay, but the part that's up and out of the water and went over doesn't look so well. This part, we're going to wait and see. I don't know if that's going to die off, and then like from here over is going to continue growing. We're going to get new roots down here. I'm not sure what's happening there, but we're going to leave it there and let it continue floating. And I also noticed yesterday I've got a water sprite that is starting to get that sort of pine needle-y look as it grows up and out of the water again. So sometimes it does grow like this when it grows out of the water, and other times apparently it does not, and I'm still not really sure why. Sometimes it grows more pine needle-y, and then other times it still grows looking like that as it grows up and out of the water. Now this was growing in the water. This is not did not grow emergent like this. I just pulled it out to sit there like that. This did grow up and out of the water, but you can see this is growing up and out of the water too, and is clearly not that sort of pine needle look. It's got more of the broadleaf water sprite look. So I don't know, but there you go. I don't know what we're going to do as far as adding any more stock to this tank before the year's over. Maybe I'll have a chance to get down there, get down the street and pick up some more crayfish or something to put in here. We've got a really cold snap coming excuse me, and it's already been cold. So I'm kind of considering it done for the year, so I'm not really anticipating getting any more fish or crayfish or anything in this tank. But you never know. We might get a warm couple of days. I might get the trap thrown out, and there might be a few crayfish left out and about crawling around, and so we might get some of them through the winter. So anyway, make sure you subscribe. That way you won't miss anything I got coming up. And then don't forget, of course, this one is my 125-gallon native tank. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you real soon on the next one.